It would be hard to find anyone who has made more Americans laugh over the past decade than they have. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, and director Ivan Reitman.
Hi, folks.
In Second City and Saturday Night Live, in Caddyshack, Meatballs, Stripes, Animal House, Blues Brothers, Tootsie, Trading Places, National Lampoon's Vacation, and more. As actors...
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You're more like a game show host.
Writers...
I do write them big, though. I write them big, but they make them.
And directors. They've earned a distinguished place in the history of film and television humor.
To do a comedy with Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Rick Moranis, I mean, you know that it's going to be sort of loose and crazy.
We're not here just to get a couple of yucks. Ha 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 ha. No, that's not what we're about. And we're not here just to stay off the streets. We're here to do something very, very important.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
But now, for the first time ever, they're all working together on one major motion picture.
Action!
Ghostbusters, a huge, hilarious movie from the maker of Meatballs and Stripes, Ivan Reitman.
That everyone has a ghost problem in the city, and that it's getting out of hand, and this is really the only group who can take care of this.
Ghostbusters updates a classic theme from the great comedies of the past and combines it with some of the most spectacular special effects ever seen in a contemporary motion picture.
What we did was just take the old comedy concept of ghost busting, ghost breaking that Abbott and Costello and that all those teams did, and we applied this new technology to it.
Everyone knows we have something very good, you know. The crew knows it's funny. And they're so we clown around and everybody laughs. And it's infectious.
I am the Keymaster.
There's something very strange about that man.
Like Murray, Aykroyd, and Ramis, Rick Moranis got his start in comedy with the famed Second City troupe, which furnished much of the talent for both Saturday Night Live and SCTV.
Are you the gatekeeper?
Yeah, ghosts. They scare the pants off me. The polyester pants off me.
How you doing? Why do you have...
Moranis brings a light touch to the role of Lewis, the swinging accountant.
That's great. I'll tell everybody you're coming. We're going to play Twister. We're going to do some break dancing. Hey, are you the gatekeeper?
He also shares a unique comedic style with his Ghostbusters co-stars.
You better bring him inside.
Harold Ramis, co-writer of Animal House, Meatballs, and Stripes, and director of Caddyshack and National Lampoon's Vacation.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Bill Murray.
This city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
Well, what do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Bill is like a brother and a partner to me. In fact, to work with him, it's like greased lightning. It's like jumping into the back seat of a Daimler and going for a ride.
Dan Aykroyd.
Sir, what you had there was what we refer to as a focused, non-terminal repeating phantasm or a class 5 full roaming vapor. Real nasty one, too.
He's got a lot of problems. Look at the hair. He's a mess.
That's right.
It takes something extraordinary to shock a woman who survived the terrors of Alien.
Your girlfriend lives in the corner penthouse of Spook Central.
Sigourney Weaver plays Dana.
That's a different look for you, isn't it?
Are you the Keymaster? There's no ego on this show, you know. It's very giving, which has been wonderful.
Overseeing a production with the scale and scope of Ghostbusters is an enormous task.
You have to go with Flo.
But Ivan Reitman's talent and experience as a successful comedy director uniquely qualifies him for the job.
He's a great laugher. I always used to think that was a drawback, you know, because he's such an easy laugher. He laughs. I mean, Dan or myself or Harold can really just paralyze him, and he just falls down laughing.
The way I try to influence things was to make it real.
Action.
To make the audience believe that everything they were watching could actually occur, was probably happening. They felt that would make the audience more involved.
Although Ghostbusters is a comedy, it is also an enormous production with some of the largest and most technically elaborate sets ever constructed in Hollywood.
It's a very big crew. We provided a lot of work for the special effects guys. And I hope they'll come up with something for me in the future.
Ready, even? Now.
Heading the picture's design team is three-time Oscar winner John DeCure.
We were looking for a production designer, someone with a great deal of experience that could handle the kind of size and problems that we were going to have in this film.
As a production designer, my interests are in the total visual aspects of the film and how dramatically they work to execute Ivan's picture, the picture that he wants to make. I like to think that it magically appears, but of course nothing just appears.
Perhaps DeCure's most impressive accomplishment is the enormous set constructed on Columbia's Stage 16.
Well, the set is basically your average pre-Sumerian temple.
This section of the set I'm holding here represents what we had on Stage 16. Probably one of the most technical and expensive sets in the world.
DeCure's sets have kept hundreds of craftsmen busy. But no one's been busier than the incredible special effects crew assembled by four-time Oscar winner Richard Edlund.
We have a short schedule for this project and an enormous amount of work, and we wouldn't be able to do that had we not had the combined talent and the experience of having worked on several other effects pictures, such as Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Raiders, Poltergeist, E.T. We've been really lucky to I think, assemble one of the best effects crew ever assembled.
Comedy is very difficult, but for people behind the camera, one of the most difficult things was often not laughing while the cameras were rolling. Ivan was often the worst offender that way.
Fills the mouth.
You're right, no human being would stack books like this.
Stands the hands.
Close, lock the system. Set your entry grid. The light is green. Trap is clean.
And heralds the brains.
Let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in the New York area. According to this morning's sample, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds.
That's a big Twinkie.
Meanwhile, in the greatest city on earth, things are getting worse. But help is on the way.
Don't move. It won't hurt you.
Stop your race dance, would you please? The heart of the Ghostbusters.
Well, the reason we're doing it as a comedy is because it's so damn frightening.
Ghostbusters, coming to save the world. Soon.
We might have to put a little overtime in on this one.
The next time you're walking downtown in New York City or down on the Nickel in Los Angeles, grab a guy by the shoulder and say, hey, did you see what I just saw? And you'll find that people just don't want to talk to you.
We're ready to believe you.
When you have a film that becomes a phenomenon all over the world, it's a wonderful thing. It just makes you feel good that you could touch the culture in that way. It sort of gives one, you know, as a director, you get a certain confidence from that.
One day I read an article on quantum physics and parapsychology, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to marry this concept in a fantasy, that there could actually be equipment that would enable one to, you know, entrap a phantom spirit.
Then when they came to me with the Ghostbuster concept, I had just finished directing National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one. And I really looked forward to working with Bill and Danny and Ivan on this one. I love the premise, and Ivan and I really saw eye to eye on how to reshape the script.
I thought for this movie to be successful, that it was important for us to sort of really believe in the occurrences. If you just tell someone, you know, by the end of the movie, there's this marshmallow man who's 150 feet tall and he's walking down Central Park West, you can't believe it. So you have to try to figure out a series of steps that will allow that believability to occur. How we achieve that is by starting them in a very sort of mundane, realistic situation. They work at a university, they're scientists, they're not doing particularly well, they get kicked out, and they decide to set up a business themselves.
Personally, I like the university. They gave us money and facilities. We didn't have to produce anything. You've never been out of college. You don't know what it's like out there. I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
And it's dealing with all those things in the sort of first act of the movie that makes you sort of believe in the truth of it.
I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that we were destined to get thrown out of this dump. For what purpose? To go into business for ourselves.
It wasn't difficult striking a balance between the scary stuff and the comedy, because so much comedy comes out of tension and fear anyway.
I'd finally showed my 8-year-old son the Ghostbusters movies. I'd waited to show them to him, and my 4-year-old tagged along. And I wanted them to like the movie, but I didn't want them to be too scared. And they both really liked them both and saw them over and over. And at one point, my 4-year-old finished watching Ghostbusters 2 and turned to me and said, "Dad, you're a really good scientist." I thought that was the highest compliment of all.
Yeah, he is a good scientist, a great writer.
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
My kids have pretty well liked all my movies. I remember how excited they were when they saw it. There was something very special about the film, and it touched children in a very special way.
Somebody blows their nose and you want to keep it? Come on. Oh.
He slimed me.
Both the children who are of age to watch movies have seen both movies. Yeah, and they love Slimer, obviously. They've asked me, do I believe in ghosts and are ghosts real? And I can't lie to them, and I have to tell them that I do believe, and I do believe they're real. I guess what's funny is their wide-eyed response. They're expecting me to say, well, no, it's just a movie, but I'm not going to say that to them because I respect their intelligence and their perception as little beings, and this is a part of our culture and the physics of our planet is that people do really leave bioelectric residues behind when they go. I guess it was kind of funny to see the kids' reactions when I actually sat them down and talked to them about it, and now they're fascinated by it as little researchers, and they love to hear ghost stories, and they will be equipped for some of the revelations that we're about to see in the new millennium.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Even if they're not real, take the premise that they're not real. Well, they're very real in our culture, in our folklore.
Heck, my grandma used to spin yarns about a spectral locomotive that would rocket past the farm where she grew up.
They're as real as fairies were 100 years ago. Today aliens have replaced fairies. And you see them on bumper stickers and in shops, and you see the alien head, and we know about abductions, and everyone knows about Roswell. And whether it happened or not, or whether this is going on or not, it is part of our folklore, and I find that interesting from a sociological standpoint.
You know what it could be? Past life experience intruding on present time.
Could be erased memory stored in the collective unconscious. I wouldn't rule out clairvoyance or telepathic contact either.
I'm sorry. I don't believe in any of those things.
Well, that's all right. I don't either.
And all of Murray's exchanges with Sigourney were great, because he was playing that kind of coy romantic thing while also being naughty and as only Bill can do.
We never talk anymore. Easy. I make it a rule never to get involved with possessed people. Actually, it's more of a guideline than a rule. I can.
I want you inside me.
Go ahead. No, I can't. Sounds like you got at least 2 people in there already. Might be a little crowded.
When Billy and we sort of kind of had a little conversation in which we, I guess, acknowledged to ourselves how good the work was feeling.
We are on the threshold of establishing the indispensable defense science of the next decade. Professional paranormal investigations and eliminations. The franchise rights alone will make us rich beyond our wildest dreams.
I'm often asked, when did you know that this movie was going to be as successful as it turned out to be?
I guess we had maybe a little bit of a feeling halfway through that we might be making something special.
Danny and I, as we were getting into this, we thought, this is going to be huge. This cannot fail.
I think it was the first day of filming. One of the montage shots, which was 4 guys in full dress, backpacks, running around with traps in their hands. I had been sort of setting up the shot, and here they came as a group together. It was the first time I saw them all dressed up in a real location with the stuff. And I had this extraordinary shiver down my back. It was an image I had never seen before, and it was an image that just seemed to be right.
It seemed so funny on the page, and we just knew how the casting would work out. We trusted each other so implicitly because of our mutual training at Second City.
There was a great comfort in working with these guys because there was a shorthand involved in. But more than that, there was the comfort that you didn't have to watch your back.
Working with Ivan as a director and having confidence in him, it allowed me to focus on my work as an actor, but also on my work as a writer, like just doing fixes every day on the set or participating in the improvised material or helping the other actors improvise stuff.
There's something very strange about that man. Listen, I'm usually very psychic, and I have a terrible feeling that something awful's gonna happen to you. I'm afraid you're gonna die.
It's all explainable within the realm of physics as we know it. There's really nothing that can't be explained. If you can even grasp the concept of ghosts if you think about molecules and hydrogen in the air and how it's all composed of molecules, and the ether and air around us really has a substance and it's all moving. And you have atoms which make up everything in nature. You have a nucleus, and then you have particles rotating around that nucleus. Well, what's in between? There's space in between that, and I think the space in between the nucleus of an atom and an electron is as infinite as the space out there. So, I mean, you think in those terms, anything is possible. It can all transmutate and change. And, you have to understand spirits and phantasms. You have to take into account the Big Bang, what people are saying about parallel dimensions. And I encourage people to keep reading and keep an open mind.
Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia mass turbulence of 1947.
You're right. No human being would stack books like this.
My favorite moments making the film were on the big stage at Columbia with the huge rooftop set filling almost the entire stage and getting blasted in the head with air cannons.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
The whole career, I guess, kind of changed after the first movie because it was so successful.
It just opened a lot of doors in lots of ways.
It underscored my credentials as a screenwriter, so I've been able to get other things done as a result of it.
When the movie was out the summer of '84, I was in New York working on something else, and we were like, heroes. We walked down the street and people would virtually cheer when they saw us. It was great.
Why Ghostbusters was special, I think, in my life was that it was kind of a culminating moment of work with a group of people that I'd worked with before, and we had learned to work together in a really unique and special way. To have a film that worked out as well as Ghostbusters was extraordinarily satisfying and very happy.
It's certainly one of the movies I've made that I really do like,
And I said, there's something about this movie that's going to just jump. And it did.
I remember the satisfaction in finding the hearse, the big steering wheel and the big cabin, and of course we had our fun with it, driving it around.
Ecto is just this great character of the film. It's funny, it's sci-fi, it's cool, it's nostalgic. And we had this vision of getting Ecto 1 totally refurbished.
You can restore any kind of vehicle, but to have something like Ecto, you don't get that opportunity every day.
The Ecto is certainly a piece of Hollywood history. You want it to look its best. And when somebody like Mr. Aykroyd is going to visit us, I want the customer to be 100% happy.
One of the interesting things when we started the refurbishment piece was realizing that Ecto 1 really is the genesis of Dan. He knew that there was this car he had in mind.
Dan is so technical. His script would describe things in exact detail. And he got a friend of his to do illustrations with the script.
Well, the car originally was black with all kinds of really black electronic brushed boxes on it and deep purple lights and everything. And then we paint it up and bring it out as follows. This was a lighter and kind of a brighter paint scheme. You can see that we made the right decision there.
Dan had always wanted to have an old used ambulance as the basis for the Ectomobile. And that just seemed so funny and so right for the movie.
Because it kind of looks a bit clown car. I mean, and, we did have some great clowns in the picture.
Car is based on a '59 Cadillac Series 62. Miller Meteor built those cars for ambulance and hearse setups.
You go back to 1959, the car designers at the time wanted to make this car look like it could fly. It has elongated tail fins. It's got a very big body, almost like a spaceship or an airplane.
We needed streamlining, be able to corner, be able to go through tunnels in New York City. But it also had to have the capacity to carry the 4 people and also just the level of equipment we had to carry.
They're heavy. They're not the best handling cars in the world. So some of the stuff that they put the car through in the show is pretty amazing for the amount of weight that was in the car.
Ecto actually makes a great appearance. It's probably one of my all-time favorite grand entrances in a film. It's like a superhero tearing out of a phone booth. You just can't get better than that big barreling 1959 Cadillac chassis rolling down the street with that siren blazing in wild colors.
Looking the way it did with this logo on the side, you had to smile, you had to laugh. So it achieved what we wanted it to right away.
Over the past 25 years. It's been in parades, it's been in theme park attractions. Wherever that thing has ever been,
It has been just an amazing appearance. It has been a huge success.
Need some suspension work and shocks and brakes, brake pads, lining, steering box, transmission, rear end.
I got a call from Keith Hargrove, asking me, we want to use Ecto like a promotional bit, and we're thinking about, cleaning thing up real nice, make it look great. So we do that here.
We knew that Cinema Vehicle Services had a background. First time you visit their warehouse, it is an eye-opener. If you say, I need 17 police cars from circa 1984, they have it, or they'll build it. And Ecto 1, we just felt like we had a perfect fit, and that's when the refurbishment process really took off.
The car came in, it had been sitting for a long time. The belts, hoses, fluids, carburetor, fuel tank, all the fuel lines, most of the wiring, had to be refurbished or replaced.
The body has had a lot of weathering over the years. There were some rust issues that probably were inherent with that car when they first bought it.
When we first started with Ecto, we probably took 200 pictures from every angle, inside, outside, under the hood, every little, almost the screws, And then it really helps out when you're restoring a vehicle.
The basic premise of it was that we wanted to make, especially the exterior Ecto 1, as close to the original was.
We disassembled what we needed to on the exterior components. We sent all the exterior components to our different departments, to fabrication, electrical, and had those parts gone through.
The very first time I got kind of scared was the day I got there and all the accessories had been lifted off the car, so it was just stripped bare. And that was the day I realized to myself, well, there's no turning back now. We have to refurbish this car because we just dismantled it.
Body work was pretty tough. We replaced as much sheet metal as need be, sent the actual body of Ecto to our body shop, started primering it, sanding it, get it ready for paint. And then it was time to put Ecto back together. We end up restoring the light bars on the top of Ecto, replacing the lens, polishing some lenses.
A lot of the old motor mechanisms, we had to upgrade them and put newer motors in them. And then I remember we ran that car for about a day and a half, literally about 12 hours a day, just to try to get it to fail. And there were certain things that did fail, and we wanted to make sure it was dependable.
While this process was going on, he said, Sony's talking about giving us some audio video components. You guys capable of doing that? Sure.
They wanted to upgrade it a little bit, but there again, just not take away from the fact of what it was.
The reaction you get having that car here is unbelievable. Everyone that came here, if they had a glimpse of it, it's like, oh, wow, it's Ecto. I want to take a photo with it. It's like, oh, no, you can't.
As far as the fan aspect of it, we were doing research on the cars, and I came across fan websites, and it's kind of neat that these people build replicas of cars. I'm all for that.
I couldn't believe how many different vehicles that are being built out there. I mean, it's like they're into it.
There's always stuff that comes up that you don't anticipate, especially when you're working on a 40-year-old car. It was a bit of a challenge trying to find some old bits and gadgets to restore some of the outside pieces. So a lot of it was just handmade stuff. We got stuff from all over the world. The windshield came out of South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, everything we did to Ecto, it was a little tricky, but once you start putting all the chrome on it, that's when you start seeing the car.
And then last and least is pretty much just the upholstery and the paint work on it. We polished up the gurney. We're able to do a lot of stuff with the electronics. And you step back and you look at it and you go, that's cool. Yeah, that looked good. Yeah, that's nice.
We started realizing, step by step, we were getting there. We were actually getting closer.
Sir? How do you do?
Mr. Aykroyd, Ray Claridge.
Ray, thank you so much for welcoming me to the gates of heaven, Cinema Vehicle Services. Only in Hollywood could you have a place like this.
There was a buzz around the shop when the word got out that Dan Aykroyd would be here. Everybody was coming up to me, oh, is that true?
People that I have working for me, a lot of them been here for a long time. So certainly when somebody like Mr. Aykroyd is going to visit us, it's a big boost for us.
Well, there was a little anxiety, getting to meet somebody that you used to watch as a kid, and now I'm working on stuff that he's working on.
But let us show you what we did.
Wow, look at that Cadillac.
First time you see the car on film, you're like, wow, it's a big car. It's pretty impressive. First time you see it in person, it is honking huge. It's the prehistoric SUV.
Congratulations, first of all. This is magnificent.
It's been an endeavor of joy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm sure he was surprised seeing the car from, 25 years ago to now, seeing it in a different state.
Well, when he first saw the car, I think he was quite surprised at how much of the originality was still there. And it shocked me of his knowledge, actually. I mean, he knows a lot about those old Cadillacs.
Now, this, of course, is the 59 Cadillac, which was based upon, I think, either an M&M or Heston Eisenhardt coach. I'm not sure.
This one, I believe, is the M&M coach.
M&M coach, yeah. 58, a little different fin. But I mean, that is positively just impaling. But you've just flawlessly brought it back. God, I'm glad I didn't have to pay for this.